Told you there'd be fireworks. We've got that. And we're into the 99th minute, and I don't know how long we're playing. It's 3-3. Not ready to go just yet. Making sure that everything is squared away. Now we are ready to roll. Maybe 2 minutes. I don't know. Armas is going to carry it forward. Chattanooga holding on for dear life with 9. Hernandez up the right side. Puts in the cross over the head of Carlton. It falls to him anyway. Right-footed shot. Goal, goal, goal. Atlanta United 2. And they take the 4-3 lead right off of the free kick. Karim Tamimi slams it home. And Atlanta leads 4-3. What in the world is this match? Told you there'd be fireworks. We've got that.
Yeah, so how was your weekend? How's your Monday? Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. I knew there's something that would happen in trying to get everything squared away. It's like, okay, I need this goal, I need this goal, I need this moment, I need this moment, I need this moment. The one thing I forgot was to take the loop out, and so that was how you ended up hearing a little bit of the game-winning goal last night twice here on the morning show, here on the SDH Network. John, hear you there. Yes, we are laboring. Morning, David. Morning, Ropes. And there is a lot to talk about. It's a Monday. Yes, it's a Labor Day. I know that our garbage isn't getting picked up, and I know that things are closed and all that kind of stuff. But we got stuff to talk about. So we got Atlanta United 2 and the chaos of Chattanooga last night on the SDH Network. Jason on the call. I am hoping that Jason is still asleep. After everything that he did this weekend, after everything that Maddie did this weekend, I hope they're still sleeping. So let me see if I can reconstruct their weekends here. All right. So it started with Atlanta United and Charlotte on Saturday night. Then Sunday, Jason goes and calls the Georgia State match. Then we drive to Chattanooga, and he calls that match. We got home, and I guess this is technically opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and at kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching. However you're accessing us this morning, whether it's on the YouTubes, the Twitch, or the 280-character app, use that QR code, and you get into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15 when you check out. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, waving my hand in front of our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps. We'll get to them in a second. So we got home about 12:30 this morning after calling the match in Chattanooga last night. Maddie was doing the same thing where Maddie covered Atlanta United and Charlotte for SDH. Then she got home. Actually, did she get home? I don't know if she got home because she went and called the Oglethorpe match with a weather delay, and then ended up going up and being a part of the halftime and the pregame for the Twos last night. And so I'm hoping that the two of them are still asleep after everything that happened this weekend. So the chaos of the weekend, Atlanta United 2, we'll get into the stats coming up in a little bit. Atlanta United 2 in really a must-win situation to try to keep their playoff hopes alive as they're chasing the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. And they have 5 matches to go in the regular season in MLS Next Pro. Next match in this run of 5 matches in 19 days is on Friday at 5 o'clock at Icon Stadium at Randall's Island. It's the first match that NYCFC2 has away from the parking deck on top of the field on top of the parking deck at St. John's. So I think that this will be the first match away from Belson Stadium It'll be at Icon Stadium, renovated facility. I'm interested to see how it looks. 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon. So Atlanta United 2, 5 matches, 19 days. They have all this chaos that they've been dealing with. And we'll go over everything with Atlanta United 2 and how they came back in one of the craziest matches that we've had on the network ever. So we'll recap all of that. Atlanta United in Charlotte, as they were trying to stay north of the playoff bar, they did that. It was a standard rivalry game with Charlotte. And so the Kings of the South went to the Queen City and got the win. Take your royalty and your playing card analogies, and we'll go over all of that coming up in just a little bit. There's all of that stuff. So then we had a moment in France this past weekend as well. We'll go over Caleb Wiley's weekend and what went down with Caleb. It was good. And we actually have the moment. I will remind the play-by-play announcers that, and like I said, this is a 46-second clip that we'll play later on in the show. But say his name. That's as far as I'll go. But we'll go over what happened with Caleb this weekend as well. So it's Atlanta United. It's Atlanta United 2. It's the news of the weekend. It's all of the chaos that's there and everything that's associated with it. So as always, a Reaction Monday. I want your reactions over, under, or on par with all of the chaos that we were dancing around this past weekend. And thanks for dropping by on a holiday Monday. Hopefully you don't have a whole lot of laboring to do and you get to kind of shift your work week a day over. Remember, don't put your garbage out because no one's going to pick it up. Don't put anything in your mailbox and put your flag up unless you just want to do it today because no one's going to pick it up today. Maybe we get deliveries and things like that. I don't know how, those folks labor on a day like today, but that's what we're staring at right now. Don't take anything to the curb. Don't put anything in the mailbox unless you're just putting it there, knowing it's not going to get picked up until tomorrow afternoon. So that's where we are on a Monday. But opening kickoff leads you into all of this chaos. Seriously, it was a lot of chaos this weekend. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching. However you are watching us, on the YouTubes, on the Twitch, or on the 280-character app. You click that QR code, you get into Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And on your way out the door, use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%. Just ask Melissa Ortiz, by the way. They take 10%, reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, that's it for the QR code. And so let me go to this QR code. That's the one that I hide on purpose so you don't get confusing QR codes. Our friends from Alliance Nurse Corps, more than 30 years of experience in finding folks their next career or their new career. When it comes to nursing, you hit that QR code from our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps. That starts your path either in a different career in nursing or a new career in nursing. And then when, I guess there's a questionnaire attached, and our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps will ask you, pray tell, sir or madam, how did you come across Alliance Nurse Corps? And then you sit there and say, SDH, yo, or Soccer Down Here. I don't know if SDH, yo, would be a fair way to distribute how you found out about Alliance Nurse Corps. But you sit there and you say Soccer Down Here when you type it in, or however they ask. I don't know if it's verbal or typing or whatever. But you type it in, you sit there and go, Soccer Down Here led me to you, Alliance Nurse Corps. So you can further my career in nursing or start my career in nursing. Once again, great friends with us here at SDH. For everything that we do, and we can't thank them enough. We can't thank our friends at Kaiser Permanente enough, and we can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with us as much as you do for all the content that we give you guys on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, and or a yearly basis. And we're getting close to a number here in Season 7, and I'm hoping that we can get there by the end of the calendar year. Maybe. We'll see what the sprint yields for us. But we're getting close to 3 million lives and downloads in our career. This does not include stuff like YouTube or anything like that. This is strictly audio. 3 million lives and downloads in our career. We can't thank you guys enough for everything that we have done and that you guys have listened to, that you guys have interacted with, that you guys have sat there and waved your arms at us and sat there and gone, "Oh, you guys are crazy," one of those kinds of things. But yeah, close to 3 million lives and downloads, and we should hopefully get to that at some point this season. All right, so now we welcome the return of an individual, a triumphant return. It's been a while since we have had this particular gentleman on. And you know how we usually bat lead off here on Mondays. We have our friends from 92.9 The Game dropping by. And it's been quite a while since this gentleman has been a part of the morning here on the morning show on Mondays. So I don't have a drum roll drop. I'm trying to think. Let's see. Do I have anything that's appropriate that would be, I'm trying to say, and this is what happens when you have like a boatload of drops and you're trying to sit here and say, would any of these be appropriate for doing this particular segment? Let me see if we, oh, maybe, well, how about this one?
Penny.
Sheldon.
Okay, so that was close. He's knocking on the door. Time to let him in. Garrett Chapman, good morning, chap. What's going on, brother?
Hey, I like the Big Bang Theory. That's a pretty good one. Hey, it's one of the most successful long-running TV shows in America. I'll take that. That.
And so knocking on the door this morning, and it's time for Garrett Chapman to hang out with us and break down everything from his perspective,
Sure.
his brain, his galaxy brain that he brings into us on a Monday. So traditionally what I'll do is I'll ask, now that you've had, a day and a half to let everything digest from what happened in Charlotte, in really a situation where you needed to win to keep pace, just to make sure that you stayed north of the playoff bar. Now that you've had 36 hours or so to digest what went down in Charlotte, what are the things that stick out in your brain?
Ooh, so I think Alexei Miranchuk looked really good. The team as a whole looked solid, and I just want to see more of that. That's really the biggest thing for this team right now. It's just that building that consistency. It's a tough schedule down the stretch. I think it's 4 more playoff teams that they have to play in their final 5 games or something like that. It's kind of brutal as it stands right now, but you get the week off and then you get back up to Mercedes-Benz Stadium for a game against Nashville. But look, at the end of the day, like, this team, they are who they are, and they have some glaring weaknesses, and on Saturday they were able to play through them. And I think that they were able to create some opportunities, which I think was really nice. They led the game in shots. It was pretty balanced as far as possession goes, so they were able to play on the front foot in terms of that. I mean, Charlotte's not a team that really wants to play with possession, but you still matched them 50-50. Ultimately, it's like the identity of this team is still up for grabs. I don't know who they are really on a week-to-week basis, but the defense played well. Brad played really well. And you created some opportunities. And look, Jay Fortune scored, and I love that.
I mean, it's, we have made a point to have our thoughts about the twos and our coverage of the twos be a part of our DNA. Ever since they broke bread, broke ground, and played up at Coolray, we've always wanted to let everybody know about what's going on with the twos, because if that path is true for some individuals, they're coming from the twos and they're getting reps with the first team, and they're doing what they're doing. Caleb Wiley is an example. Caleb goes twos, Caleb goes first team, Caleb goes to League McDonald's. And I mean that because that's the sponsor. So you have that progression as a part of the process when it comes to world soccer. And so we've done the same with Jay. We've seen what Jay has been able to do with the twos. We've seen him develop to get the first team minutes and get the international time with Trinidad and Tobago. And to have a moment like that for someone who has busted his ass, and I'm going to say he has literally busted his ass 14 minutes into the show on a Monday. I'm hitting the explicit rating, and I don't care. To have a moment like that for Jay, you could not be happier for someone like that who has invested so much to get to this point of his career.
Absolutely. I mean, look, he had some quality, and I like that it finally put itself on display in terms of a goal. I think having a guy like Alexei Miranchuk is going to help him specifically. He's one of those guys who it's going to, create opportunities for him, and that's why we brought Miranchuk into the system, because Sabalo Janitsa had 2 great shots on target, which were created because of Alexei. They were both assisted by him. So that's why they brought him. It's because he has that world-class vision. They see him, and his per 90 stats are off the charts just in terms of doing that. And ultimately, I don't know if that's more to do with just the way that Atalanta plays, the Italian side, but you see the vision and you see the flashes, and he's thrown into the fire, and it's like he needs to come in here and do big things. And I'm not trying to overshadow what Jay Fortune did in his development either with the discussion about Alexei Miranchuk, but I really liked what I saw from Jay. He stepped into this role that Thiago Almada left, and uh, I mean, it was going to be impossible for him to fill those shoes, really. But I think he did an admirable job, and look, he can be a very strong MLS player, and that's great.
Checking, since you have advanced the conversation to Alexei Miranchuk, here are the numbers for the man. And I think that after getting the cup of coffee last time out in Los Angeles at Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, I can't remember the zip code off the top of my head. You have the thought that maybe Miranchuk can give you 45, that maybe he can give you 55 to 60. By the end of the night, our friends at SofaScore give Miranchuk a 7 on the board, going 89 minutes, 62 touches, 42 of 57 passing at 74%, 2 key passes, 1 for 1 on his crosses, 4 successful long balls in 6 attempts, had the 1 shot off target, and then he also had 2 dribbles passed. And I think that when you see somebody like Miranchuk, you can see, I mean, for those of us with television cameras, we can see the imagination. We can almost see things working in 3 dimensions, and you'll have that imaginative scoop like he had against Los Angeles. And you see what he has going up against Charlotte. I'm intrigued. I want to see him become more comfortable. I want to see that skill set, and I want to see it expand when he's more comfortable with his teammates, and he knows in 3 dimensions, okay, I know that Jamal's going to do this. I know that Daniel Rios is going to do this. I know Saba's going to do this. I'm looking forward to seeing that imagination in 3 dimensions from Alexei Miranchuk as he becomes more comfortable with those around him that he gets to hang out with here with Atlanta United.
Yeah, and ultimately, like, I don't think there's a bigger winner than Alexei Miranchuk when it comes to having a bye week right now, building up some chemistry with his teammates and training, get some proper reps out there. And of course, you had the extended break where he was able to get in and get that done. But he only really had 3 training sessions with the guys, because he comes in after the fact. You have to wait for your visa and everything else and all the technical stuff. Fortunately, we didn't have to wait too long with that, but we've seen that in the past. But look, he was able to jump in and hit the ground running, and that's a credit to him. It's a credit to the training staff, and it's a credit to everybody involved. But having a full week of actual preparation and getting onto the pitch and practicing with the guys is going to do him wonders and building up some of that chemistry, because it's like, and I'm not going to compare him to Magic Johnson or whatever. I don't like making cross-sport analogies, but it's like but I'm going to do it anyway.
There you go, bro.
Magic Johnson, when he was a rookie, like when he's running up and down the court and he's doing all these little weird passes and everything like that, he's very imaginative with the ball, and he's going to get you in the ball in weird spots, and maybe when you're not expecting it, do that, and then you just got to be ready for some magic. Yeah, that's really the biggest thing, and those are the expectations for Alexei Miranchuk, and that's when you come into a place like Atlanta, a place that's soccer crazed, that wants its team to do well. You're going to come in and wear the number 10. There are a lot of great players who've worn that number 10. You got to be coming in ready to deliver on some hype.
Yep, and Miranchuk is the 10 being 5'9" on the back of the jerseys. Okay, so let's continue the cross sport analogies here. So if Alexei Miranchuk is Magic Johnson to you, let's continue the Showtime element here. How would you look at Xande Silva? Is he Jamal Wilkes? Is he James Worthy? I mean, for me, a guy like Xande Silva to me is a rhythm guy. And I'm going to really anger a lot of Lakers fans here, but to me, he reminds me of Vinnie Johnson from the Detroit Pistons. Okay. Vinnie Johnson comes in off the bench. You feed him the ball. He's knocking down threes. Once again, he's a rhythm guy. You feed him, he goes. Same with Silk Wilkes. You find Silk Wilkes off the wing. Magic finds him. Silk squares from, say, 20, and he fires him up. But you've got to get that first shot. He gets that first shot knocked down. Then he's comfortable. He's in the rhythm of the game. And then he's not afraid to do things and be imaginative. Xande played 65, 7.5 from SofaScore. Tied. Well, let's see. He was tied for 3rd with the highest rating of the day for the position players. Brad obviously punched an 8.5. Brooks a
Yeah.
7.9, Stiana 7.6, Jay and Shonda 7.5s, Derek a 7.4, Amador a 7.2. And I think that's big that your entire back line punched north of a 7 in all of this. The only people that were less than 7 were Saba and Jamal. But I think that Shonda's a rhythm guy where 39 touches, 23 of 26 passing at 88%, 3 key passes, 1 long ball, 1 big chance created, had a shot on target and had another shot as well, 2 shots blocked, 1 dribble attempt successful, 1 ground duel, and that's what you're looking at, Shonda. So to me, Benny Johnson, Silk Wilkes, James Worthy, how would you play that one out?
He is kind of that kind of guy. Where he needs to have the ball at his feet. He needs to play, and he needs to get shots off, and he needs to do everything like that. And unfortunately for Jean De Silva, he's one of the biggest detractors and one of the detractors, not the right word. He's one of the biggest losers from when Thiago Almada leaves, because he doesn't have the ability to really create on that other side, because he's asked to come in and do kind of pick up the slack that was left. And he's just kind of the guy who just needs to be left on the side and left alone and left to kind of do his thing, because he does run hot and cold.
Yep.
And when he's hot, he's a good player, and he's somebody who can really contribute to a winning side in MLS. And it's just that when he's off, this team falls off in a big way, and they needed him. That left wing has been just a hole for this team for much of this season. And a lot of that had to do with him getting hurt and dealing with injuries throughout the course of the season early on, especially back in that ugly stretch in April, May, June. But it's just, you need to see more consistency from him. Like when I talk about consistency, about this team needing it, back when Gonzalo Pineda was here and everything else, the team lacked consistency. And John De Silva is the perfect example of that. Somebody who, if he gets hot and he gets going, you see the flashes, and it's just, it doesn't happen often enough and at a consistent level enough for me to be a big believer in John De Silva on a game in, game out basis. But look, when he's hot, you see what he can do.
Yeah, and you have a guy like Jamal up top who absolutely busts his ass on a daily basis. May not show up stats, may not show up with number of touches and things like that and output, but you see what's going on with Jamal as a part of this as well. Is there anybody else that is in the Garrett Chapman spot shadow from what happened on the weekend that you sat there and it's like, oh, okay, so here's the talking point. I saw this. What else is on your mind after what happened in Charlotte?
How about some love for Brad Guzan?
There you go.
I mean, my goodness, what he was able to, he reverses the clock every now and then. And he just sort of comes out and does that. I mean, both keepers really. I mean, the Charlotte keeper actually played at a really high level.
The Kalina train is definitely something that he said. Christian Kalina saves Charlotte's collective bacon more than I think they care to admit at times.
Yeah.
Brad's numbers. We'll go through Kalina's too, since you mentioned keepers. Brad 6 saves on the day. 1 high claim, which in SofaScore terminology, that means that you're jumping up and you're grabbing something above the other players. 4 saves from inside the 18, 55 touches, 30 of 40 passing at 75%, 15 of 25 on long balls. So 30 of 40 passing, 15 of 25 on long balls. So half of his accurate passes were long balls coming out of the 18. And so, you're looking at 15. And so the other accurate passes, 15 of 15 on the day that were close range stuff. 1 clearance, 1 ground duel, 1 fouled once as well. And so in the interest of equal time, Christian Kalina didn't have as high a number as Brad, a 7.8, but Kalina, 5 saves, goals prevented, according to SofaScore, 1.46, had the high claim, 5 saves from inside the box, 90% passing at 18 to 20 on 36 touches, 4 of 6 on his long balls. But I think that, you see how Dean Smith has this reliance on Christian Kalina. And why is it on God's green earth that it seems like every keeper known to mankind, known or otherwise, seems to want to have the game of games going up against Atlanta United? Fortunately, this time, Atlanta got the one past him, though.
Yeah, look, I can't explain any of that. Look, the soccer gods have weird vendettas against different people, and things happen.
Yes.
Just as Sean De Silva.
Really? I know.
But look, Brad played a really good game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest story for Atlanta right now. It's, you know, you bring in his replacement at the beginning of this year, and a lot of people clamored for the replacement.
Yeah, Josh
You
Cohen.
know, yeah. I like Cohen. I thought Cohen was brought in. I mean, he's a good player, but of course, look, Brad's still the guy.
Mhm.
Brad's still wearing that captain armband, and Brad is still, Brad. And he hasn't formally announced what his future decisions are going to be. I don't know if his career is going to continue here in Atlanta
Right.
at the end of this season. But look, performances like that make it a little bit harder for you to make the decision, to move on officially.
Right.
But man, oh man, look at him go. I loved it.
Yeah. One of 9 players who has to come up with a decision or have a mutual conversation by the end of the calendar year when it comes to Atlanta United. The conference standings, as we speak, as we are discussing, it was 2 points separating everybody from 9 to the bottom coming into the weekend. 7 teams separated by 2 points. And now, once again, Atlanta United gets the win. They get some separation in this. So now it's 7 teams only separated by 5 points as opposed to 7 teams separated by 2. But Atlanta United doing what they need to do, taking care of business. The only thing missing is the Elvis Presley necklace with the lightning bolt and the TCB on it.
Yeah.
Did their thing, took care of business, and now the margin is 5 from Atlanta United to the bottom. But it's as our as one of our own, Nick Alifi says, it's going to be a knife fight in a phone booth between now and the end of the season with everything going on. 2 points behind Toronto in 8th. Then you've got 6 points to get to Orlando, but Toronto has a match in hand. It's going to be chaos, and so I would just make sure that everybody is taking their Tums or whatever they need to do between now and the end of the season, because enjoy the international break for what it is. You get a chance to catch your breath, but then it's midweek weekend, and get you rolling through. So, it's gonna be even more chaotic, but at least there's a little bit more space now instead of 7-2, now 7-5.
Yeah, look, you have your work cut out for you. You know what you got to do.
Yeah.
Look at the schedule and see how brutal that is.
Oof.
And I mean, you play, I think it's Red Bulls. You played Red Bull twice. You had a chance to play Union. I mean, you're playing the teams that are fighting for your spots.
Yeah.
So if Atlanta makes the playoffs, it's because they earned it.
They've
And
earned it. Oh, that reminds me. I got to get that drop from John Houseman. Let's see. They've done it the old-fashioned way. They've earned it. Let's see. So Smith Barney. You see how my mind works here on the show.
Hey, man.
Smith Barney. Well, crap. Okay, so much for that marker. That one's done. I got to grab another pen. So nothing like having things crap out on a Monday. So let's see. Smith Barney, John Houseman. All right, so I've got to get that drop and add it to the mix. So I mean, it's going to be so. As I wanted to look at the schedule and try to anticipate what you were talking about, but of course, a pen died and everything went to hell. Okay, so here's the rest of the schedule as we kind of plot everything through. So it is international window. Then on the 14th, it is Nashville, and so that's your Saturday night game.
Mm-hmm.
Then midweek, Messi and friends come by for a 7:30 on a Wednesday. Don't know about Messi. He, did set the world on fire by doing workouts on his own the other day. And so
I don't expect he's going to play in that game.
Yeah, I mean,
coming to Atlanta, playing on the turf, playing and everything. He's not going to play in that game.
Yeah, so if he
That's
played
2 matches in a row.
Yeah, if he played on the weekend, then he ain't going to be playing midweek, or if he does, it's a cameo where he waves at everybody and sits there and says, hey, hi, thanks for dropping by. Then after that, 3 matches in 8 days. You've got Red Bulls at Red Bull Arena. They don't have Emil Forsberg, so they're hoping he's healthy on the flip side of the break, or healthier. Then you've got a week, and then you're going to see Philly at Subaru Park. Then you've got another midweek after that where it's Atlanta hosting Montreal, and we know that Montreal has everybody saying Mon Dieu up in the Province de Quebec with everything going on right now. And then you've got Red Bulls coming to see you on the 5th. Then you've got another week off before you go and finish up against the Purple Team on the 19th of October. So, it's a real easy ride, isn't it? Isn't it, Chappie? Real easy?
Yeah. Several playoff teams linked in there. I mean, you earned it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do, and you don't get the beautiful beauty of playing like a San Jose or something like that, or something down the stretch. No
Not
Chicago's anymore.
Yeah,
You
nothing.
already, but that's the thing. This team made its bed.
Yeah.
You know, it blew its opportunities earlier in the season. You go with a 0-0 draw against Chicago at one point. You blow a lead against since was it Cincinnati or no? They did it against Charlotte. I know a couple months ago. I mean, there's just what you do against Cincinnati, and like it's just you have some ugly performances, and whatever happens to them, they've earned across the board with just players lacking quality at times, situations not panning out, turnovers in bad spots. And this is the team we've talked about this on the post game show several times at this point. This team, I don't know if I've ever seen one punished this badly for mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, you make a mistake, and then Atlanta United gets burned every time. Sometimes, oftentimes, in every sport,
Yeah.
you can get away with it every now and then. It seems like Atlanta never gets away with it. They have one turnover, and it's like, nope, that's going in the back of the net.
Who did you piss off? You know?
Yeah, it was a brutal run for Atlanta throughout the course of this season, and it's just disappointing. But I will say, easier to talk about it after a win. You know, this team got a win. You're back into the situation that you need to be in. You're hanging on for dear life in that 9th spot. Just keep hanging on. Just keep hanging.
So basically, it's the kitten on the kitten on the poster that's like on the it's on the tree limb. You just keep hanging on, keep hanging on, baby.
Just keep hanging on.
How are you
spending their season?
Yes. How are you spending your international window, sir?
Covering the Yellow Jackets for 24/7 Sports, talking all things college football, doing everything. We were men in many hats. So I got my Masters hat on because we just had the season finish up, you know, and it's
I'm hoping
all season's going.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we don't get into any kind of a trouble if anybody's watching out I-20. So he's got a logo on, you know, one of those kind of things.
Hey, man, this is a Georgia brand. I support Georgia brands. All right. No, but we have tons of high school football on Friday night. We got Falcons kicking off on Sunday. We're ready to party, man. This could be great. Plus, we got a lot of fun.
Never heard of these Falcons of which you're referring to.
So. Who?
Yeah, I've never heard of them. As always, Chap, it's great to have you on when you can take a breath and come and hang out with us at GChapATL on the 280 character app at 92.9 The Game and a bunch of other places. Don't be a stranger, Chap. Crash whenever you need to, and you want to vent your spleen about anything.
I got a full show, you know. I got a full setup, you know, because normally we're doing the steakhouse and I'm in the middle of a show and I can't break away, but. You know, this is fun, and I love chopping it up and talking a little Five Stripes, man.
Well, you gotta wag your finger at Sandy and the others in the steakhouse and sit there.
Yeah.
Look, I've got something I've got to do. I've got to go talk soccer. I'll be back. I think Sandy would give you an excused absence if you.
She would, yeah.
Look, I got to go talk to Nelson for 20 minutes. she'll give you the excused absence. She'll give you the piece of paper that you can get the hall pass on. As always, my friend Garrett, it's great to catch up with you. And like I said, don't be a stranger. Crash anytime you need. And if you need a break from the steakhouse, you know, if you want to have a different kind of an appetizer or dessert, just, you know, we're the key lime pie.
You're the hors d'oeuvres.
Yes. We're the key lime pie to your steakhouse. So anytime you want to crash, Chap, you know you can. So it's great to see you, my friend, and enjoy the rest of your Labor Day, where I hope you're not laboring.
Absolutely.
All right.
We're working. We're having fun. See you, buddy.
All right. Be good. That's Garrett Chapman. And it's been a long time since we had Chap on the show, but Chap knows he has golden ticket status. And so that means he can crash anytime he damn well wants, and he can talk about whatever he wants to. And like I said, I think since he's like really doing work during the time that the show normally exists, you know, Monday through Friday when there is no holiday, that I would put my hand to my heart and put my other hand in the air. If he went to Sandy and said, look, I got to go talk to Nelson for 20, I think she'd write him a note. I think she would. I think everybody else would sit there and go, what is he doing? But I think that Sandy would give him an excused absence. I really do. It's always great to catch up with Garrett. Great to see Garrett. And like I said, Garrett's doing about 98 different things. And the fact that we could track him down here on a Monday is always a plus. So let's see. Georgia Tech. Yeah, and especially after they beat Florida State, I imagine those conversations with Sandy were always pretty solid. So you've got 92.9 the game. You've got 24/7. You've got his time with the Georgia Association of Broadcasters. You've got him doing high school stuff on the weekends. You've got him doing Steakhouse in the morning. So, Chap is all over the place. So he's kind of like another one of those folks that is like trying to catch water through an open hand or trying to grab a comet's tail. That's Garrett Chapman for you. But it's always great to catch up with Chap and find out what's going on in his brain as we lay things out here on a Reaction Monday. So once again, reactions. Feel like Hacksaw Hamilton. Reaction. Show me your lightning bolt. I want to hear from you. Buena Vista, Savannah, Ellenwood, Toccoa, Lafayette. Let me know what is on your mind. That hurt. That was, for those that don't get that obscure reference, that is an impression of Jim Rome doing an impression of Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. And Hacksaw Hamilton was the longtime play-by-play voice of my San Diego Chargers. And when Hacksaw would do stuff that did not have to do with other TVs and other entertainment entities, Hacksaw would be doing talk shows. He'd be doing sports talk on the same station that Rome did in San Diego. So with Hacksaw, it would always be, show me your lightning bolt. His way of bringing in the fans to find out what's going on. Yorba Linda, Lakewood, Rancho Palos Verdes. Show me your lightning bolt. One of those guys. Rancho Murrieta. It's like he's doing the Lloyd Lindsay Young thing of naming cities and hoping that folks will drop in and let everybody just like come in and crash and talk about the Chargers. So basically that was an impression of an impression. I went meta this morning with that. But no, it's always great to see everybody, and thanks for coming in this morning. So literally what's on your mind from what happened this weekend, we'll go through all the goals and lay it all out for you. Go through the matches, go through the matchups in both MLS Next Pro and in Major League Soccer, give you the standings, where things stand. Hour number 2, we'll go through all the news of the morning. There actually are still bids being made for players in the Premier League because not every window is closed on the other side of the Atlantic. So there's news of that. We got to recap what happened this weekend involving the other leagues around the planet. And like I said, there's news this morning kind of putting a bow on everything. So whatever is on your mind this morning, lay it all in there in the comments, and we will continue to rock and roll in that regard. So once again, thanks for coming by this morning. All right. So since Garrett discussed it, here is that moment that we talked about involving Jay Fortune. And it was a moment where, like I said, to see Jay work as much as he has from his time with Atlanta United too, getting the call-ups with Trinidad and Tobago, getting the first team minutes, where he is proving he belongs. He is like showing folks on a match day basis, not just Monday through Friday, but on Saturdays and Sundays, that Jay Fortune is becoming more and more comfortable with what's going on at the professional level. And he belongs. And so he is showing that he should be a part of that midfield going forward. So here's the moment in a goalless match in Charlotte where Jay Fortune got to have that moment. And I'm putting the word "that" in all caps. And it's got nothing to do with what's going on in St. Louis. Jay Fortune got to have that moment for the first time. Here's how it broke down with Mike on the call. Mike and Jason, 92.9 the game, and the Odyssey app.
Here's Shande Silva, a good turn around Bronico, sending it down the middle to Fortune, dribbling out of center circle, straight down the middle, Fortune, bumped, shoots, score! From 20 yards out, after being bumped by Brant Bronico, Jay Fortune has scored his first ever Atlanta United goal.
Yes, sir, he did. And so first ever goal, and Bronico tried to knock him off his pins, but Jay stuck with it. And there was a bit of a screen for Christian Kalina. And so Kalina didn't quite see it until it was past the defender. Jay shoots it from just outside the top of the arc. from about 22 or so and gets it past Kalina to Kalina's right. And there wasn't a whole lot of room there to get it past Christian Kalina. So Jay Fortune did. Jay Fortune gets it past Christian Kalina, and Atlanta United got the 1-0 lead at that point and would end up getting the Duke and all important 3 points on the road, which seems to be the case in this particular rivalry where the road team gets all of the points. And so Atlanta United gets the win 1-0 in Charlotte, and it was a big goal and a great moment for Jay Fortune. Stats on the day: possession 51-49 for Atlanta United, XG 1.79 to 0.91 for those of you that like to dive into those kinds of things. Each team had 2 big chances, 19 total shots for Atlanta United. I know that there's been a concern at points about going ahead and shooting the ball. Go ahead and shoot it, put it on target, or just shoot it and make sure that the defense has other things to think about. They certainly did that. 19 shots to 12 for Charlotte, 6 saves for Brad compared to 5 for Kalina. 4 corners to 3, only 8 fouls called. That I cannot remember the last time that you had a match in Major League Soccer that only had a single-digit number attached in fouls. So letting them work and letting them play. 8 fouls total, 4 on each side. Passing numbers about the same. 12 tackles to 10 for Atlanta United over Charlotte. Free kicks, 4 on each side. 1 yellow card went to Atlanta United in that as well. So that's your stats in the overview. And once again, looking at the lineups themselves, we mentioned Jamal getting a 6.9, Saba a 6.5. Everybody else was a 7 or higher, according to our friends at SofaScore. We mentioned Shande with a 7.5, Miranchuk at a 7.0, Jay Fortune at a 7.5, Bart Sleesh with a 7.1, with Jay Fortune putting in 74 minutes, and it was 31 of 35 passing for Jay on 42 touches, 2 key passes, 1 long ball completed, the 1 shot on target, 1 ground duels. Had 1 clearance, had a pick, and a tackle as well. So Jay Fortune had a very, very busy day, punching a 7.5 at SofaScore. Bart Sleesh had a 7.1. And we mentioned that backline all scoring north of 7, according to our friends at SofaScore. So you compare that to the backline of Charlotte in this case, and both backlines in a 1-0 match, all 8 starters, the 4 at the back line for Charlotte and the 4 at the back line for Atlanta United, all were north of 7-0 in their scores from SofaScore. Euronen and Reams, 7.1s. Adelson Malanda, a 7.5. Nathan Byrne, a 7.2. And the same for the back line for Atlanta United. Amador, 7.2. Derek Williams had a 7.4. Stian Gregerson with the yellow card had a 7.6. Brooks Lennon, a 7.9. Pedro Amador still becoming more and more comfortable with what's going on. Played the full 90. 4 clearances, 2 picks, 3 tackles, 2 dribbles passed, 3 ground duels, 1 in 6 attempts. And you end up also with 59 touches for Pedro Amador on the day. And as SofaScore resets if you don't move the page after X amount of time and the timer goes out. So 83% passing at 34 of 41 on 59 touches, had 1 key pass, 1 cross, 5 of 10 on long balls from Amador. And that was good enough for a 7.2 from our friends at SofaScore. Derek Williams in the middle, paired with Stian Gregerson. Derek is 7.4, played the full 90. 4 clearances, 1 pick, 3 tackles, 3 for 3 on his ground duels. 1 time he had possession lost. 74 touches on the day, 65 of 66 passing. 98% for Derek Williams. 7 of 8 on long balls for Derek Williams on the day and a 7.4. Stian Gregerson with the yellow card, a 7.6. Played the full 90. 7 clearances for Stian Gregerson on the day. 4 of 6 on his duels. 2 of 3 on both the ground and the air. Fouled twice. 68 touches. Perfect passing. 57 and 57 passing. So literally, you combine the passing numbers of Stian Gregerson and Derek Williams, and you end up with, on the day, 122 of 123 122 out of 123 passes completed by Derek Williams and Steon Gregerson on the day. 9 for 9 on his long ball, Steon Gregerson, and had the one shot on target by the time he was done. Brooks Lennon, a 7.9. And for Brooks, played the full 90, 1 clearance, 2 picks, a tackle, 1 ground duel, 76 touches, 91% passing, 39 of 43. 3 key passes, 3 crosses, 1 for 3 on long balls, had 1 big chance created. So you understand why those numbers were as big as they were and how the back line was as key as it was in getting everything started for Atlanta United offensively. So that was the end result there with all of the numbers and the stats and everything. So big win for Atlanta United. We talked about where things are in the short version when Garrett was with us, but here's the long version. Right now, Purple team's in 7th place at 37 points. Toronto has played 1 more match than you. They have 2 more points than you. So basically, if you were to surpass Toronto and get the 8, you'd host the play-in game. Then 10th place right now, Philly, 30 points. DC's at 29. Then Montreal. And Montreal, like I said, Montreal on a weekly basis, I don't know how Joey Saputo I guess I should rephrase it. I don't know how Laurent Courtois has survived Joey Saputo to this point. So 27 points for Montreal in 27 matches. New England is at 26 points. They have 2 more wins than Chicago and Nashville. And remember how we told you how crazy it is down at the bottom? New England, 26 points, 8 wins. They have 2 matches in hand because of other competitions. Chicago, 26 points. Nashville, 26 points. Identical records between the two. They are separated by 3 goals in goal difference. So that's where the Eastern Conference is. From 9 to the bottom. Going into the weekend, it was 7 separated by 2. Right now, it's 7 separated by 5 with a handful of matches to go. Western Conference, just so you know, you have LAG at 52 points, but they've also played 28 matches. LAFC has played 3 matches less. They're 5 points back. LAFC losing on the weekend opened a window for LAG, but LAG couldn't take advantage of it because they lost in St. Louis on Sunday afternoon. RSL, 27 matches played, 47 points, 1 less win than LAFC. Colorado's at 44 points. And once again, 27 matches, 13 wins. Vancouver, 2 matches in hand. They're at 41 points. Portland and Houston. Portland has played 1 more match. They're at 40 points, 11 wins, and a higher goal difference. Then the 8-9 right now is Seattle. Seattle has the worst goal difference of the 3. They're at +5 with 11 wins and 27 matches played. Minnesota has snuck into it. Right now they're at 36 points, but they're part of 9, 10, and 11, which is going to be the interesting part of the race in the Western Conference. So it'll be interesting at the top with matches in hand. It'll be interesting at the bottom with the points separating 9, 10, and 11. Minnesota's at 36 points. That's the playoff bar right now in the West. Austin's at 34, 9 wins. Dallas is 33, 9 wins. The entire state of Missouri is at 27 points. Kansas City has 2 more wins, but they're focusing on Open Cup and next month trying to win the match in Los Angeles for a trophy. And then all caps with their win yesterday against LAG at City Park, 27 points, 5 wins. That's why they're next to last. And San Jose, 63 goals allowed, 27 matches, 17 points, 5-20-2 on the year. They have scored 34 goals in 27 matches, so that's what, about $1.25? Goal and a quarter per match, and they've given up 27, 63, 2 is 54, 9, 2 1/3 goals per match. That's not good. A couple of teams have given up north of 50 goals this season, Montreal being one of them. They are screaming down San Jose's neck for the most goals allowed right now. Montreal's given up 58. DC's given up 55. And those are the only teams. Okay, Kansas City and St. Louis have both given up north of 50. 52 for Kansas City, 51 for St. Louis. But yeah, San Jose's given up 63. Montreal 58, DC 55, Kansas City 52, and all caps have given up 51 goals. So that's your standings in MLS as we've made it through yet another weekend of chaos in Major League Soccer. Now, getting into what's up with Atlanta United 2 and the associated chaos there. We'd mentioned how nuts it was last night. By starting the day giving you the Kareem Tamimi goal that made it 4-3. The match last night in Chattanooga in front of just north of 3,500, so another great crowd at Fort Finley. Here's how it broke down last night. Alan Carlton, well, first and foremost, Chattanooga FC trying to play out of the back. That was a bit of an adventure for them. You had Jean-Antoine, the goalie from Goalie Wars. He was attempting a pass early on outside the 18 in the 12th minute. Didn't have a whole lot of mustard on it. Javi Armas picks it off. And Javi, right outside the 18 when he got possession, starts to go inside the 18. Antoine comes out to challenge. And instead of trying to shoot it past Antoine, Javi looks to his left, finds Alan Carlton. Alan Carlton with the slam dunk with the right. It's 1-0. Then, in the 27th minute, and I swear to God, there were so many deflections. I think all three goals that were scored by Chattanooga FC were off deflections. 27th minute, you end up with a deflection where it was shot, and the deflection carries it all the way from the right-hand side of the 18 all the way to the other side of the 18, all the way from the right-hand side to the left-hand side of the 18. Garvagnan scores to tie it at 1 in the 27th minute. That was his third of the season. So that's where we were after 27 minutes. Then at 45-20, a deflection off Alan Carlton creates a chance with Gray to Mehdi Wamri. Wamri, the leading scorer for Chattanooga FC this season, got his 11th. And so off of two deflections, it's 2 goals for Chattanooga FC. 1 in the 27th minute, 1 at 45-20, 2-1 at the break. Then, and this was one of the moments that next time Bart is on, like I said, and Bart may still be at the lake grilling as far as I know. If he joins us at the top of the hour, then he joins us at the top of the hour, and this may fall into reffing down here. Alex McGrath is whistled for handling the ball inside the 18, and we'll have to take a look at it because from our vantage point, arm was extended. McGrath, handles it. Ball hits him. Ball hits the arm outside the silhouette, hits him, and the call was handball inside the box. Javi Armas knocks the PK home in the 47th minute, and it's 2-2 at that point. So once again, Alex McGrath, PK call. I'll have to look at it, but this will be a part of reffing down here, and we'll go through that. So 2-2 in the 47th. Then another deflection inside the 18, and it goes from Callum Watson to Mehdi Wamri to Gray. Gray's deflected, and Wamri puts it in for his 12th. He gets a brace. It's 3-2. So that's where we were heading into the 87th minute. And so at 3-2 in the 87th minute, once again, we talk about moments, and we talk about how players get that on-the-job training and how they get the idea of, okay, they're turning into the professional footballers. They're really growing up in front of our eyes. We had one of those moments last night. Dominic Chongqui was one of those players last night that grew up. I mean, that he showed maturity in a rivalry game, in a tough situation, as you're fighting down a goal. And the other was Ashton Gordon. 87th minute, Ashton Gordon had this moment to tie things up at 3. Alan Carlton, who continues to improve, helped out in that moment. So Alan Carlton starts the play, finds Ashton Gordon. Here's how we go from 3-2 to 3-3 once again here on the network last night.
Atlanta setting up shop here. Can they make something of it? Carlton slips a pass through to Gordon. Gordon with the left foot. Gordon with the goal. Goal! 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 His first professional goal. Ashton Gordon in the 87th minute. What a goal from Ashton Gordon. The 16-year-old Jamaican Youth International stayed in the whole sequence, looped through the middle, and a great ball through to him. Gordon puts it home. 3-3.
And so that's how we end up at 3-3. We'll get to the rest of the story coming up in just a little bit. So, out in the sunlight. I don't know how long we're going to have him, but he is in the sunlight, and we will get to him because, God forbid we should keep him from the rest of his laboring on Labor Day. We're going to go ahead and start hour number 2. And we have the mobile cameras for SDH. Bart, where are you, sir?
Live from the banks of the Tippecanoe River in north central Indiana.
Oh, wow. Is Tyler there with you?
Not that I know of.
Because, Tippecanoe and Tyler, too.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
If he was, he'd be like 300 years old. That'd be kind of...
No. He is not here with us this weekend.
Yes.
No sightings.
So, for those that follow Bart on the media that is social, he was cooking out. He was grilling. He was doing the grilling things, and
other folks are doing that this morning.
Attaboy. See, now that's the thing, is that you got to have folks that are doing the grilling for you for the separate meals. If there are those that have more, depth or awareness for breakfast, that's always a good thing. Let them
absolutely
let the rest of us
absolutely.
Are we going to talk about what happened in Morgantown, or did that not happen?
Well, now Mike Conti gets to talk shit on me for another year, so that's just the unfortunate part. I've been saying I'm not a believer in the head coach, and that is still true.
Oh man, it was. I was wondering if that second half was actually even going to get played. I mean, it was a tight first half, and then they came out from the weather delay, and then it was all
We had tea times that lined up with the end of the game, and that unfortunately meant that I didn't get to watch the second half, or maybe fortunately, depending on how you look at it.
Oh boy, and so. That's not an air raid siren, is it?
I don't think so. I think it's probably a boat coming by.
Okay, just checking, because when you hear something that is consistent and high pitched, there's always a bit of a concern.
Yeah, it sounds marine more than aerial.
Okay, just checking. I mean, because I'm always looking out for you. You know that. I'm always making sure that everything's going to be fine. Yeah, that. Good Lord, man. That is.
Yeah, I'm gonna step inside.
Well, I mean, I was just concerned for the general well-being of humanity on the banks of the Tippecanoe River. What I wanted to – there's a couple of things to get into this morning. Obviously, there's some reffing down here that we need to get into, and one involving your beloved Arsenal, because we have to go. But the roster selection for the USMNT, I wanted to discuss that with you as well, and Mikey Barris being a very, very busy man. We have a roster. So what are your thoughts on said roster heading into this international window?
Well, I think if you're going to have any hot takes about this roster, other than Caleb Wiley as the next coming of, Jesus on the left backside, then you're looking at this in the wrong way. I mean, look, we've got an interim head coach. I think it's very clear that Poch is the guy we want, where it's just a matter of how does this happen. And there are some call-ups that are interesting. And then there are some exclusions that, between slight injuries and just needing a bit of rest, it makes sense. I'm excited. There are some not new names necessarily, but guys who should hopefully get legitimate chances to start and play significant minutes that would not normally get a look. And I think that is the important part of this roster, is you've got a couple of newer names that hopefully get to see the field and show that they can probably be depth options here for the U.S. men's national team.
The missing players in that squad of 18 from Copa, 4 starters, Tyler Adams and Tim Weah, who are both listed as injured.
Yes.
Then you have, Jedi Robinson.
We were on a break.
Yeah, so you're on a break from Jedi because of his 2 off-season surgeries. Weston McKennie, who's trying to get back to full song after missing all the preseason with Juve. So here's what Mikey Averis said about this. He says, quote, September is always a tricky window. You have players coming off international tournaments and then straight into preseasons, players who are trying to establish themselves and their places at clubs, and you have a lot of movement in the transfer window, so you have to look at the whole picture at what's going on to be best long-term. And then he mentions Weston McKennie, not able to do a full preseason. Best thing for him in collaboration with player, club, and country is to leave him at Juventus and let him catch up and get ready for the season. Jedi's been playing banged up for the last year. Best thing for him at this moment is to stay back, reset, get ready for a long, grueling Premier League season. At the end of the day, we work with the player because the best thing for them long-term is the best thing for the national team, end quote. Keepers. Ethan Horvath, Diego Koken.
Yeah.
Schulte and Matt Turner. Diego Koken getting the call-up from FC Barcelona, too.
Yeah, there was some weird discourse about this on Twitter. I don't think he's going to play, John. He's, a teenager who hasn't even broken through as a starter at Barcelona. Obviously, That's tough to do.
Yeah.
But this is a good use of the, there's not really a roster limit for a training camp. He has been a mainstay at Barcelona and their youth and second teams, and he is an American. He has American citizenship, so he should be a part of this national team if we think he is a guy who can help us in the future. I think this is a great use of bring in a fourth goalkeeper. Who cares? I mean, but seriously, John, because Schulte's in the same boat. Schulte's the third goalkeeper. It's like, well, he's probably not going to play.
Yeah,
that's fine. But these are 2 guys that you see, and you're betting on them for the future.
Yeah, give them reps and see how they respond to a national team camp situation. 8 defenders in the call-up. Austin Trusty, Marlon Fossey from Standard Liège, Christopher Lund, Mark McKenzie, Tim Reen, Chris Richards, Joe Scally, Caleb Wiley. So Caleb Wiley being the second coming of our buddy Jesus, who we like very much. And Marlon Fossey, I thought that was an interesting one.
He's been in consideration for a while. I forget which camp he made last year, but he was in a camp of some sort. I forget. But that is an interesting one, John, because as you know, our good pal and resident temper tantrum thrower, Sergiño Dest, not part of these camps because of a significant knee injury. So we wish him the best in his recovery. Well, that opens things up. I think we all felt comfortable enough with Joe Scally during Copa. I don't think he did anything that should say that he shouldn't be that next starter. But the problem is, John, if your starter goes out, then your second string has to go to starter. You got to have a guy to be second string. So this is a good opportunity for Fossey to prove that. I am a little concerned that we haven't seen Brian Reynolds play for the U.S. national team at a senior level in a while. He wasn't part of the Olympics. I'm a little bit higher on him, mainly just because of the age. Fossey is older. He's in that 25 and up age group. Right. But been a very good, solid player in mid-tier leagues, if you will, in Europe. This is a good opportunity for him to prove. And I'm sure he'll play, right? I mean, going back to the original point that Mikey made, this particular window, which, by the way, FIFA cut for the women, which I'm not mad at. They actually did something in favor for the women. They kept it for the men.
Right.
It's a weird window. So hopefully Fossey does get significant playing time because, we're all in the I don't really want to play 90 minutes mode. And hopefully we just see what he can bring to the national team at that right back, mostly right back. He can kind of play anywhere up and down that right side, but probably just the right back position. And then on the flip side, Jedi not being here because he needs to sit down for a second. You get a couple of options at left back with Christopher Lund to kind of maybe show his true ability. He's always been a backup. And then, the best left back that the U.S. has ever produced, Caleb Wiley.
Yes.
Who, by the way, going to Strasbourg, John, I don't know if you noticed this, kid's been starting.
Yes, he has. and since you mentioned 2 elements here, I want to backtrack to one of the comments that you made. I believe you were referring to this particular incident involving one individual.
y despertador.
Ojo, aquí se va a ganar la tarjeta amarilla. Aquí tiene que ser amonestado.
Pero, ¿qué tarjeta tanto?
Andres Cantor,
Yeah.
partner, laughing at Serginho Dest getting a red, wondering what in the blue hell was going
Was
on.
that Balboa on the commentary with him?
I think
it may have been Balboa or Ramos.
I think it was Cello. So you had you had Cello and Andres Cantor wondering what in the blue hell was going on with Serginho Dest going
John, we're still wondering.
Going mental walkabout. But since you mentioned Caleb Wiley, the greatest left back in the history of this planet or any other.
Yeah.
He had a moment on the weekend, and so I feel like in the best interest of having our highlights on Monday, that we should let everybody know who didn't get the chance to see what happened. They can hear what happened, courtesy of our friends at BN and League McDonald's.
So one of those who's come in from Rennes. Oh, that's a good ball. And Lyon are in trouble again. And Mega scores. And it's 3-1. And Lyon are falling apart. Well, like Santos, who scored last week and has again scored this week, now the centre forward has done the same thing. A simple goal, but Lyon caught in possession. Maitland-Niles losing the ball. One pass, one shot, and it's 3-1.
So, Bart, who did Ashley Maitland-Niles lose possession to?
It's a kid named Caleb Wiley.
I believe that's accurate.
Kid from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, and so as power boats passed by Bart on
that was a jet ski.
Well, fine. Then it was a jet ski on the banks of the Tippecanoe River passing by Bart this morning as he's with us graciously on a Labor Day while others around him labor and cook brunch.
Yeah.
So Caleb Wiley putting in starts and putting in minutes. I think in the 3 matches so far for Strasbourg, he is 2 starts and came in the other match at 45 minutes. So he's getting reps in Ligue 1, doesn't seem to be intimidated by his surroundings, and he is once again solidifying the fact that he is the best left back on this or any other planet.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to continue to hype the kid up because he is truly an Atlanta product on multiple levels. Also, shout out to George Bello. He's found his footing over at Lask in Austria. So
yes,
LBU over here at Atlanta United Academy. But Caleb, I mean, look, he's got an opportunity here to prove that he belongs in the first team. I think he was criminally underutilized at the Olympics. I know, J.My Flat Earth or Tolkien does, present some likable qualities that a coach might have. But I just felt like Caleb was, I don't know how you don't use that kid. He's dynamic in possession. He's quick in the back. And we're seeing here at Strasbourg that he is a valuable piece of the team. And he can produce when he is at this level.
Yep. What we didn't tell you was after that goal by Omega was scored in the 58th minute, Lyon would score. Maitland-Niles would get his revenge.
Yeah.
And make it 3-2 in the 61st. Then Orban would get a brace in 9 minutes. And Lyon would come back to win 4-3 after being down 3-1. But we're not going to talk about that.
We can still cheer a little bit for Lyon. They got an American there in Tanner Tessman. So, we're okay with that happening.
Yeah, that is true. They also have Mikhail Tadze, who I wish we could have jumped on, some kind of a window. So on the day, by the way, Caleb Wiley, I'm trying to look at where's my sofa score numbers with our man Caleb here? Come on now. So Caleb got a 6.6 on the day.
Yep.
Replaced at the break by Lamarchal. 45 minutes, got the 1 assist. The XA, for those of you that believe in these kinds of things, a .16, had 1 block. And he had 14 and 19 passing on 26 touches, 74% passing, 1 key pass, 1 big chance created, 1 shot off target, 1 big chance missed in 45 minutes. So Caleb Wiley continues to be the best left back on this or any other planet, and he's doing so in Ligue 1 McDonald's. So I had that highlight. And by the way, if the play-by-play announcer perhaps would say his name,
I know.
It
Putting
was
him any love.
Come on, man. Who was there to pickpocket Ashley Maitland-Niles? It was a guy by the name of Caleb Wiley. Come on.
And that's the thing that he has learned, despite Atlanta United's woeful play during his time here. He learned how to turn defense into offense quickly, and how to, dispossess a teammate or a defender, and turn it into find that upfield.
He'd be in trouble, man.
Yeah, turn it up to dispossess the defender and turn upfield and find a teammate. That's something that he does very well. That's something he's been very adept at. And yeah, look, the kid is still young enough to improve defensively, as all outside backs probably need to improve defensively at that age. But it's just good to see him now get called up to the national team. Again, don't take too much from it. Jedi's not here. It's you got Mikey Vara substitute teaching. It is what it is. It's a September window against Canada and New Zealand. These games won't be very high stakes, if you will, but it's still good to see.
Yep. Midfielders getting the call in. It's Johnny, Luca De La Torre, Aiden Morris, who's at Middlesbrough, Yunus Musa, Gio Reyna, Malik Tillman. And the midfield group, once again, pretty much what you would expect in a situation like this.
Yeah, when you don't have Wes and you don't have Tyler, these are the guys that, are going to be next. Aiden, probably a little bit of a surprise, but I don't know how much of a surprise. He's had a really good job, really good time to start the season at Middlesbrough, because I refuse to use that stupid pronunciation where you don't use half the letters.
Middlesbrough.
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 Yeah, I'm out here with 2 third graders, and I've heard that word bruh a lot. Bruh. But yeah, Aiden's probably the surprise of this group, but not really when you look at the grand scheme of things. I think maybe some people were thinking Leonard Maloney could have been a call-up, but Aiden Morris has been doing well at Middlesbrough, and he's earned a call-up by what he's done in I think the championship has played 27 games so far in 3 weeks.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. The schedule from hell that is the
on top of like EFL Cup and leagues,
Gummy Bear and
FA
Gummy
Bear Cup,
FA and Gummy Bear and Johnston's Paint Trophy and all that kind of stuff. Forwards group fairly standard: Brendan Aronson, Valerian Balogun, Pepe, Pulisic, Sargent, and Haji Wright.
I think if you're looking at this, John, you're a little concerned about the winger depth, as has been kind of a theme for the last year in the U.S. men's national team. But Pulisic, I think this is the camp that I want to see Pulisic on the right, John, and you let Haji start on the left, and just see what happens.
Bart Keeler at Barnabas Prime 19 at Soccer for USPOD on the 280 character app, showing us his avatar because he doesn't want to show us what's going on to the banks of the Tippecanoe River this morning as he joins us during Labor Day, as he tries not to labor, but he's going to hang out with us and graciously do so while he's having brunch and coffee all at the same time, but not on camera, and we appreciate that. All right, so switching over to reffing down here.
Yeah,
and
listen, John.
Here we go.
Referees should not be deciding title races in August.
Oh boy. So, all right. So, let me since you put that cap on first, since you went ahead and had that hat on in describing the Declan Rice incident from the weekend, I'm going, sir, to ask that you take that cap off and put your reffing down here cap on. And the interesting element in this, you have the laws of the game from Law 12, fouls and misconduct. So here we are. Referees must caution players who delay the restart of play by, subpoint 1, appearing, as they add photos finally, appearing to take a throw in, but suddenly leaving it to a teammate to take. Subpoint 2, delaying leaving the field of play when being substituted. Sub 3, excessively delaying a restart. Sub 4, kicking or carrying the ball away or provoking a confrontation by deliberately touching the ball after the referee has stopped play. Sub 5, taking a free kick from the wrong position to force a retake. So if we apply Law 12 to the incident involving Declan Rice, what say you, referee? Barkila.
Well, I think the issue that has been rightfully talked about here is consistency.
Mhm.
And then also, I find this to be such a low grade offense. This is not even the most egregious tap away that we saw all weekend. That's certainly not the most egregious kick the ball away after a restart has been called that we saw in this game.
Right.
And I think that's where the legitimate criticism of this referee, Chris Kavanaugh, comes down to. Is this was a wildly over dramatic reaction to something that happens a whole lot in the game.
As yet another jet ski passes
Yeah.
by. No, dude, you can let the jet ski pass by. It's perfectly fine with me. You don't have to mute.
Well, no, we're on Labor Day. We all be on a body of water. Yes.
I was going to say, is it the same jet ski that's just
No,
buzzing?
it's not. It's a different one. It's a different. The other one was a father and son. That was kind of nice.
Because if
No,
it was the same jet ski, I could understand them wanting to be behind you as you're doing a live shot.
Yeah,
No,
it's not the same one, unfortunately.
Damn.
But I think that's just the issue here. Is that when you looked at this, it's like, what was the one? Rightfully, a lot of people have pointed out that the ball was still rolling, so it's not like you were going to take a free kick. By the way, the ball was rolling after the player who got fouled rolled the ball up about 10 feet from where the actual free kick should have been taken, which also was in that point that you just talked about, John, in Law 12. And it wasn't like he functionally messed up the ability to restart, right? Yes, by the letter of the law, this is a cautionable offense. But how many times do we see a referee not give a player a yellow card for worse offenses under this part of the delaying the restart of play and Law 12, the laws of the game? And that's, I think, where the rightful criticism of Kavanaugh comes, is this is at best a minor, a minimal offense in this regard when you have allowed other bigger delays of restart of play before and after this particular yellow card. And you did it only because Declan Rice got his knee kicked because the attacking player, who, by the way, you can't tell me was actually trying to take that free kick there, decided to kick Declan Rice. And that's where he mismanaged the entire thing completely. This is mismanagement by the referee. You do not have to support him for being overreactionary to this particular incident. There was no need to get involved there in the way that he did. He could have easily just talked to players, calmed down. And by the way, while he's walking up to give Declan Rice a yellow card, about 72 Brighton players somehow converge upon him asking for a yellow card, and that's supposed to also be a cautionable offense. So where, John, is the consistency?
Oh.
And that's all we asked for. That's what we try to talk about here. Consistency.
Damn the injustice and the consistency. I see what you're staring at here. There was a moment, and I'm trying to find the longer version of it, and we may have to revisit it next week. But when it comes to handball inside the box, this was a moment that happened last night involving Atlanta United 2, early in the second half, where I believe it was Alex McGrath. His body was expanded, and McGrath, the ball ends up hitting McGrath in his left arm. As you're watching the action, it would be his right arm on television. Ball hits McGrath. Then the man in the middle calls handball inside the 18, calls penalty. Javi Armas converts it, and we get to 2-2 at that point before all the chaos happened in the final, 97 minutes of this match. For handball inside the box, break down the whole thing about silhouette and hand and arm and all these kinds of things.
Well, I think we just talked about it last week. The armpit is kind of what we're looking at to see what is the boundary of the playable part of the body and what is not. But the problem you're going to run into as a player is anytime the arm is extended outside of your body frame, silhouette, if you want to use that word. I don't like that word.
Body frame.
Anytime your arms are extended a little bit, especially in any unnatural position, and the ball hits it, you're going to put yourself in a position where you could get in trouble. And unfortunately, you found yourself in a situation, the defender found himself in a situation where the ball hit his arm while it was outstretched. And that happened. Anytime it's below that armpit boundary, you just have to be careful. You know, I think one of the things that you have to look for is that I try to look for anyway as a referee is I'm not necessarily looking at is the whole arm bigger, right? Because sometimes, you know, you're running and your arms just kind of move out to side to side. But as soon as, like, say your hand or elbow turns outward,
Crockett and Tubbs are buzzing past you now.
yeah, that was a trio of jet skis. They're
A big old
flipping
scarab is what that sounded like.
Yeah.
Miami Vice episode.
It does feel like that. As soon as your elbow extent, like, you know, twists out or your hand twists outward, does that make sense? Yeah, you're making the motion right there. That is definitely where you're going to get yourself in trouble, because that to me is unnatural. And to me as a referee, I'm looking at it going, well, why are your arms doing that?
Yeah.
Now, if your arms raise up or come out, that's one thing, right? But that motion outward with an elbow or hand is also going to just get you in trouble.
And then later in the match, we had, as they say in some parts of the planet, they had a fair poke of chaos.
Fair poke of chaos.
We had a fair poke of chaos. And it was after one of the players for Chattanooga FC, who was chasing after a regional Emmy for acting.
You have one of those.
Well, I have nominations. I do not have
okay.
I am the Susan Lucci of the Southeast Emmy nominations, sir. I have nominations, but I have yet to win.
And talk about travesties and shames. That's one.
I'm waiting for Shamar Moore to yell, "The streak is over." That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for. So Mehdi Wamri made an occupation last night of falling down a lot and trying to get foul calls, and in a heated match, which is what this was with Chattanooga FC and Atlanta United 2. It was heated. It was a rivalry match, no question. Wamri ended up causing a larger incident, which on the touchline then created a blackjack dealer situation.
Yep.
Where you had multiple cards given. The bench was given a red. You had a player given a straight red. Wamri ends up with his second yellow, which equals a red, if my math is still correct when it comes to the sport. But then you had a coming together of the players themselves. Basically, I want to say it was Javi Armas who was in the middle of the pile, and when he got outnumbered, you end up with Atlanta United players backing up Javi Armas. You end up with more Chattanooga players coming in to back up their own, and then you have players stepping over the touch line to help out their own as well. So you had this fair poke of chaos coming together. But what we saw, and this is what I wanted to ask you about, was the center ref stepped away from the pile. He stepped away from the pile and tried to see if the pile could sort itself out before he came back in and started going bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And I thought it was handled really well, because there are times where you'll see a center ref in that pile of chaos still be in that pile of chaos and try to control it from inside, where the ref last night controlled it from the outside and went back in. I thought that was handled well in a heated situation that became heavily heated.
Yeah. So three things. One, I think we know that this is proof that the one true team in Chattanooga is the Red Wolves, because they we'll just stoke those rivalry flames right there.
There we go.
But two, the two reasons, John, why we do this is one, personal safety. We're not hockey referees. We do not have helmets on. So that is a personal safety measure, is to not get yourself involved. Now, that said, I have definitely tried to separate players who are 15 and younger.
Yeah.
But as soon as they hit that 15 or 16 age mark, I kind of just go, well, y'all have fun. And that brings me to my second point, is I can then see who does what, when, why, how, and who needs to be sent off, or who needs to get a yellow card, or who needs to be reported higher up, or whose mom needs to give them a timeout. So that is the two reasons, is personal safety. And if you're in the middle of the scrum, you can't see what's happening in the scrum. And so you need to be able to recognize faces and numbers to be able to adequately and appropriately and justly hand out misconduct. So sometimes it's just yellow cards. Sometimes these people do this and it's like, all right, y'all are all being stupid. You two get yellow cards. Everyone go back to your benches. Sometimes, like we saw last night, the XSS, as I've liked to call it, was at a high bar, and then you have to give some red cards, like we saw last night.
The XSS, sir?
Expected stupid shit.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Because now that we know what that acronym is, we can probably. Well, no, but what I'm saying is now that since you have introduced, we probably can have it in the vernacular of the show.
Yeah, it's a new age metric. You have expected goals, post shot expected SG. Now
We'll talk to Howard over at Soccer Metrics and see if he can.
Now we have XSS. It's really high, John, when you're having men between the ages of 16 and 23. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and then along that line with the XSS is when you have players or coaches step over the touch line from the bench and become engaged into the pile of nonsense that is there. It's something else that you have to monitor in line with everything else that you've had to monitor leading up to that point. Because last time I checked, if you are not part of the active 11 on either side, if you were to improve your position by stepping over the touchline and going into the field of play, that is a no-no of biblical proportion.
Yes, that is definitely at least a yellow card. Most of the time it's going to be a red when it should be a red when you're doing things like this. We allow it sometimes, obviously, when a goal is scored. Benches come out and celebrate, and we're like, well, okay, we're not really, nothing's happening there that we need to be super pressed about. But this is one of those instances where you came onto the field for some unscrupulous reasons and therefore need to receive some punishment.
Yes, the unscrupulosity of the act is what I kind of wanted to get into, and how you as someone with a whistle and cards navigate something like that. Good stepping over versus bad stepping over, stuff you shouldn't do versus okay, I get it. I know why you're raising hell. I get it.
Well, and even during a good stepping over, John, if you do something that then turns stupid, then you're going to get a red card or yellow card depending on what you do. Because I've seen that happen where you have a goal scored and the bench goes over to celebrate with the goal scorer, and then people start having nice little conversations with each other between teams, and things get blown out of proportion. So, you have to be careful. And as a referee, you need to be aware of when people enter the field, no matter what, because, things can happen that don't go the way that they should, even if they have the best intentions of just celebrating after a goal.
Yes. So it was a very, very busy weekend on a bunch of different fronts involving things that you should do, things you shouldn't do, kicking of a ball, navigating the what you can go ahead and allow and be cool about it and be the cool ref instead of the militant ref that you're looking at when you're dealing with these kinds of things. One other that I wanted to get into, and it comes from the Liverpool match. The Mazraoui challenge on Gakpo at the top of the box. Gakpo goes down at the edge of the area in the 89th as he's tangling with Mazraoui. Darwin Nunez then fires a shot over the bar. Anthony Taylor signaled he played advantage when the ball went out.
Yes.
VAR checks for a possible penalty. So the process there, VAR would call for no penalty. Was it advantage that wiped out that whole thing, or what was the process there?
I'd have to listen to the audio, truly, John, because I do think that is an example there of if you're given an advantage and your advantage leads directly to a shot on goal, that's an advantage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think.
So I think that if that's what happened, I don't have a problem with that being kind of said, no, it's not a penalty because you got the advantage. The advantage was then capitalized on. It just the ball didn't go in the back of the net. And I think we've seen. I think there was a Manchester United. I want to say it was Rashford had this in a Champions League match for some reason where he was fouled in the act of shooting.
Yeah,
and that was given a penalty kick. Well, that is different because that wasn't an advantage. He was fouled. I think it was maybe right after he kicked it, and it's like no. You can't. You wait to see if the ball went in the back of the net, but you can't take someone's knee out while they're shooting. You go, well, the advantage applies. Well, no, you can't do that. This happened before that, and so I think rightfully they applied advantage and said, okay, we'll keep playing. You got the ball. And then I think when you look back and you go, well, yeah, this could have been a penalty, but it seemed like the referee gave the advantage.
Yeah.
So we don't come back and give it to them after that.
Right. The question being, should advantage be played on a penalty situation, and why wasn't it pulled back by VAR if the ref had judged a foul but got positioning wrong?
I had a similar situation recently. And the reality is, look, if you take a full-on shot after being fouled and you have the advantage, again, the foul occurred, you keep possession, so therefore you have the advantage. Not fouled in the act of shooting is how I would apply it. So this one, a little bit of a gray area. But to me, this was an okay situation. If he got a shot off, the shot may not have been on goal, but he got a shot off, right?
Yeah.
And the shot was inside the penalty area, which, John, I'm not the biggest soccer expert, but usually that's where you want to try to take shots in this game. That's the highest advantage shot.
Perhaps, maybe, yeah. I see where you're going.
They had the advantage. And I think in this result, again, it wasn't necessarily in the act of or right after he shot the ball. So I thought this was okay.
Okay. Any other calls that I ignored that stuck in your craw from the weekend that need a reffing down here analysis?
No, actually, I thought, MLS was pretty okay from what I watched. I think there were some other calls and maybe a college football game that I was highly attuned to that I don't know what they were looking at on both sides, by the way, on both sides. But they're in preseason form too, so I'll give them a little bit of slack there. But no, John, I thought I think again, as an Arsenal fan,
yes, and that was why I wanted to have you separate.
It is hard to be super neutral about that, and I understand that a referee should always support referees, but you do also have to call them out when they handle the situation poorly. And again, I just think Kavanaugh handled the situation poorly. I don't necessarily think that he misinterpreted or misapplied the laws of the game, right? Because technically, yes, you can give that. I think, again, there was a consistency issue, and there was a, you can go over and manage it. Instead, he decided to, after calling the foul, this is actually a referee technique point that I do want to get into.
Okay.
He called the foul not far away from the action, but it was a contentious thing. And he kind of just stood from about 20 yards away, about 5 yards outside the 18, maybe, from where, and the foul was deep in the corner. So he's not far enough, like he's in a very good position to make the call. But usually when you call a foul, you want to at least then have your momentum taking you toward that location at which you called the foul. Because, John, you've seen in all sports, after a foul of any type, especially in soccer, usually the person who was fouled is not very happy and will try to exact some sort of revenge on the player who fouled them. And so as a referee, you just need to be ready to deal with that. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that he was so far away for the restart, and I get it. Look, it's a 90-minute game. You're running a lot. This isn't maybe one of those times where you don't have to, but he just kind of stood there, and then he took forever to walk over there. And I just don't think that even during that, it's like, so you weren't in a hurry to necessarily get over there and give the yellow card, or the dude just got kicked. I mean, this is a possible mass confrontation in its own right. I just think the whole situation was mismanaged.
Yeah.
And that to me is the flaw, the fault here that the referee made is that he did not manage this entire situation properly at all. And it cost Arsenal a title in August, because certainly Manchester City, who, by the way, doesn't get penalty calls against them when they clearly commit penalty kick offenses, they get away with it. So
one final thing before you go back to brunch. How long are you staying up there, by the way?
We are leaving tonight. We're driving to Nashville and then finishing the trip tomorrow.
Okay. Sporting Resource on the 280 character app. I saw this and I bookmarked it, and so I actually had my tablet with me this morning in addition to both computers, all three computers actually.
Dang, that's a lot of technology for you, John.
I know, and having the wireless working is key for me as well, since I don't know how to reset it.
Oh boy.
In 2022, this is from the Sporting Resource over on the other side of the pond. In 2022, the four-letter paper reported a mass exodus of refs. Question is why? Verbal and physical abuse, even against teenage officials, the impact of severe shortages across the game. In England, 10,000 leaving over a 5-year period. And Sporting Resource interviewed a couple of young 16, 15-year-old officials who initially were excited about being referees, but then left. The harsh truth, according to Sporting Resource, harsh truth many young refs face. Verbal abuse from the sidelines, physical aggression from players, feeling isolated among adults. With treatment like this, how many last beyond 2 years? The consequences, according to Sporting Resource, are dire. Once again, this is overseas. It can apply somewhat here. That's why I wanted to get your feedback. Massive decline in referee numbers, games canceled due to lack of officials, quality of the match is suffering. Experts suggest urgent action is needed. 1, zero tolerance policies for abuse, better protection for young officials, education for players, coaches, and parents. And so Sporting Resource maintains by supporting young referees, we're not just saving football, we're nurturing resilience, decision-making skills, leadership abilities, and our future community leaders. And so your experience involving what Sporting Resource broke out yesterday from 2022's four-letter paper.
Well, I'll say one of the reasons that I've continued to referee for as long as I have, which, John, it's my birthday month. I'll be a decently momentous age. That means I will have refereed for 20 years.
So you're turning the big 3-0?
No, there's about 5 more added to that. So I started refereeing at 15. Okay. I'm into my 20th year as a referee. Haven't been continuous, but one of the reasons why I've stuck with it so long is when I was a young referee, I enjoyed it because, and I think this is something that does need to be highlighted from this piece, is where the referees can take some responsibility. I had great adult referee mentors who taught me, who were polite to me, who were sticking up for me, and taught me how to better my own personal game, but just taught me about refereeing in general. So, I'm thankful for that. I had great assigners and great referees mostly great assigners and great referees I worked with, who nurtured and helped me as a person become a better referee at 15, 16, 17 years old. We do have a responsibility as older referees to interact with, be nice to the younger kids, but then also teach them, help them learn, point out things that they can do better, but at the same time, point out things they are doing great. That's one of my biggest things that I try to do when I'm out there is say, hey, you're doing this well. Maybe we need to improve on this. And that's coaching, right? That's just coaching in general. But on the flip side, clubs specifically need to take action. And what I will say, shout out to Rush Union, and I know we have a friend there, Coach Steve, who they foster a decent, and it starts with the coaches specifically, but it obviously starts above them. I'm not saying I've never been yelled at by a coach from Rush Union. I have. Coaches are going to yell, but for the most part, they are trying to be respectful. And this is where I think, John, the biggest issue is here in the States is the focus needs to be on the players playing the game to learn how to play better.
Right.
If you as a coach are yelling at a referee, you're not coaching your team. You're not helping your players be better soccer players. You as a coach have to understand the purpose that you serve on that sideline. And I know a lot of them think, I got to protect my players. And it's like, well, I'm out there to protect my players too, right? Or your players too. Like, I'm out there to make sure everyone's getting along, having a fairly adjudicated match, and we get out of there safe. Your job is to teach your players how to pass to each other, because too many times, John, I get into these games and the coach who's losing 6-1 thinks I'm the reason that they're giving up goals because their team has no idea how to pass to each other and go from outside back to center mid to wing. You have not taught your team how to take a first touch, but it's my fault that your guys are losing 6-0. That is the problem we have in this country, is that too many referees are seen as the villain of a game instead of coaches taking the time to just teach their kids how to play better.
Right.
And that to me is the biggest issue we have, and clubs need to take that upon themselves to get their coaches and team managers as well to be respectful toward referees and look at this as we're all here. This is a symbiotic relationship among all of us. I am not out there because someone's paying me a lot of money, right? That's not happening. I am out there because I love this sport, and this is my way to give back to the sport. Most referees of my age are doing that. Yeah, look, obviously we're getting a nice little paycheck at the end. It's not great, but it makes it worthwhile. But we're out there because we want these kids to enjoy the sport. We want them to be able to play the sport because they can't without us. Coaches need to understand that is our role there. We're not the enemy. We're part of building this positive soccer environment together so that kids who start at the U10 level want to play through the entire U19 system we have. And then something we have a problem with this in this country, John, is people after they play youth or high school soccer, they're not involved with the game at all afterwards. That is all of us together. And when you have coaches, and specifically coaches, parents are stupid, we can throw them out. In fact, I think all youth sports would be better without parents, but that's another hot take.
Mm-hmm.
But coaches specifically, remember that your job is to help your kids be better players and better people. And if you're not focused on that, you have lost sight of what your job is, your role is in this ecosystem, and you really need to be focused on that. I think too many coaches lose sight of that. Too many coaches see Mikel Arteta ranting and raving on the sideline. I think, I got to do that because Mikel Arteta does. Well, Mikel Arteta is making multiple $1 million a year to coach guys making tens of millions of dollars a year. You're not there,
Yeah.
You're not there. And no referee decision truly at the youth level is going to impact a kid's ability to get a scholarship or a kid's ability to enjoy the game. You guys have to remember that. Be the adult on occasion.
And as yet another jet ski and or scarab passes by, it is time to let Bart go and get brunch, get a second cup of coffee or a third, so he can come back here and be ready for the U.S., Canada, and New Zealand this upcoming weekend. And yes, I'm filibustering through the time when that engine goes through and past your house on the banks of the Tippecanoe River, and you get to see what's going on there in Indiana. As always, my friend, thanks for dropping by on Mondays and breaking everything down from your perspective, both on the field and off. I know that we're getting ready for a couple of friendlies coming up this weekend, and so I imagine that Soccer for US POD will be discussing said activity.
Finally,
there you go.
We kept talking in our little group of okay, so we'll Wednesday or Thursday, right? We'll be ready. The roster doesn't come out until Sunday of Labor Day. Come on, US Soccer.
Really?
So we'll probably record on Wednesday. We still don't have Potch news, so we don't have that to talk about. We'll record Wednesday or Thursday and have it out before the friendlies. So that'll be what's coming up with US Soccer for Us pod. Also want to just shout out AO Atlanta. We're doing a voter registration information watch party on Saturday. So if you have any desire to learn how, when, where, what to vote in Atlanta, not what to vote, but how, when, and where to vote in Atlanta, what you need to do to get yourself registered or find out where your polling place is, you can come to our watch party at Fido on Saturday to figure that out. Or go online, sos.ga.gov, and figure that out yourself. But yeah, it's September. Election is 2 months away. So do your civic duty and get yourself registered. Get ready to vote.
That, what he said. Bart, go enjoy your coffee and your breakfast. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Bye, y'all.
There he goes. There's Bart. So Bart's going to go listen to more Scarabs and Jet Skis and have breakfast and do all those kinds of things here on a Labor Day. Time to say hi to everybody who dropped in this morning. Morning, Ropes. Morning, David. Morning, Alex. Nix is correct. It is the international window. That's why we've got a 2-week break, the week off. Yeah, 2 weeks off, 3 games, 7 days. There you go. Exactly right. Morning, D. Graham. Nix, good morning once again. Alex with some developing story, which we'll get into in just a bit. So let's see. Morning, Ropes. Morning, Nix. Morning, Pars. Morning, David. And morning, Sharif. Sharif is in, and he says he was watching the Wrexham docuseries and looked into their games because all of the hue and cry about expanding the universe by the ownership group there at Wrexham as they were promoting and then promoting. Actually, when they were when they were in the football league, and folks were interested a couple of years ago in watching the games in the football league, but not all the games were available. And it was creating a bit of a broadcast stink. And I think rightfully so. I think that if a team in a division lower than League Two, so that would be the fifth level of the English pyramid, if they wanted to do something, they should be able to do it. But apparently the rules at the time were so antiquated that you couldn't, that you end up with waiting until they end up with League Two and League One, so you could get to watch what's going on with Wrexham, and you get, was it iFollow or whatever it is that you can watch your favorite club in. And apparently Sharif says to get full access to everything going on at Wrexham, now that they're in League One at the top of the table, it's $30 a month. That is not going to drive me to watch. I will watch the docuseries. I will watch that made-for-television episodic instead of watching the matches of the week. Or something that has happened early in the year over on Paramount Plus is that a lot of the time with the matches that are being shown on Paramount Plus, Wrexham happens to be a lot of those matches. So maybe sign up for Paramount Plus. You get the occasional Wrexham match. You'll get, all of the lower divisions, championship. You get some League One, get some League Two. But yeah, they've shown a lot. I think they've shown every Wrexham match on Paramount Plus as an option since the season started, or at least I can count at least 3. How many matches have they played so far this year in the friggin' League One? So tables, they played like 28 matches already by now. 4. Okay, so it's not bad. I think 3 of the first 4 from Wrexham have been on Paramount Plus, and they are second because of goals allowed, or goal difference. Sorry, they are 1 behind Stockport County in goal difference in the automatic promotion spots. If the season ended today with 10% of the season gone, Stockport County and Wrexham would be your 2 teams promoted to the championship for 25-26. But we've got 34 matches to go, plus all of the cups, the Gummy Bear, the FA, Johnston Paint, all of them. But right now, Stockport County and Wrexham are 3-1-0, 10 points each. Stockport County has a goal difference of 7. They've only given up 1 goal in 4 matches, while Wrexham has given up 2, and that's the difference. But still, Wrexham has not won League One, but right now they're number 2 in League One. So, yeah, Paramount Plus for me is where I go and watch the lower divisions, being the football junkie that I am. So, for the record, Birmingham City, Lincoln City, Huddersfield, and Charlton right now would be in the playoff in League One to try to be the 3rd team to join what would be Stockport County and Wrexham if the season ended today. Wigan, Blackpool, Cambridge United, and Leyton Orient would be the 4 teams that would be relegated to League Two. In the championship, since we're there, like I said, we'll get to the developing stories because you still have transfer news because not all windows have closed in Europe. Championship right now would be Sunderland, West Brom heading to the Premier League, with Watford, Leeds, Blackburn, and Burnley being the 4 clubs chasing after that 3rd spot in the promotion playoff. Sheffield United starting the season 2 points for defaulting on transfer payments. Otherwise, they would be in 8th, and Burnley would be on the outside looking in. Current relegation picture, once again, with 46, so not quite 10% of the season done. Plymouth Argyle, Luton, who's having a rough start, and Cardiff would be the 3 teams relegated in the championship. So busy morning when it comes to transfers, because not all transfer windows in Europe have been shut down. And one of those has to do with Victor Osimhen and the latest involving him. So just when you thought things would be done with Victor Osimhen, they're not. Because according to our buddy Ben Jacobs, it appears that Galatasaray is advancing on a loan from Victor Osimhen. Face-to-face in Naples in the next couple of hours. Galatasaray are prepared to cover Osimhen's salary on a season-long loan, although they are aware January may result in other clubs trying for a permanent move. Galatasaray is optimistic, according to Jacobs. Elsewhere on the board, remember Steven Bergwijn? It now appears Al-Ittihad is now close to an agreement in principle with Ajax for Bergwijn, fee in the region of €20 million. Still some work to do in order to finalize the move before the Saudi Pro League window shuts. Once again, that goes back to the conversation that Jason had with Garth and Dimitrios Evstathiou about, windows closing and the desperate nature of some folks and the not desperate nature of others holding out. And then by everything circling back around for Ajax, the number that a lot of folks had in the big window opening ends up being the number that they're going to settle on if Ajax and Al-Ittihad agree on Bergwijn. So Ajax kind of gambled and they didn't win. Because everything's back to €20 million, and Bergwijn looks like he's heading to Al-Ittihad. Al Nassr had advanced talks with Chelsea for Angelo Gabriel. They want the 19-year-old to fill a 21 and under slot. Optimism that a deal can be reached. And Gianluca Di Marzio was the first to let everybody know about Osimhen and Galatasaray. Also, two other clubs in the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote are interested in Angelo Gabriel. But right now, he is open to the move. But it looks like Al Nassr right now is in the driver's seat. Al Nassr confirmed Alex Telles has left the club by mutual consent. He becomes a free agent. And so Al Nassr has a slot, maybe two, if it ends up with Gabriel being a 21 and under, Alex Telles leaving. So that creates another one of the 8 slots for internationals available in the Saudi Pro. Marcos Leonardo set to join Al Hilal from Benfica for €40 million. Agreed on a 5-year deal. Medical's already done in Lisbon. Now the signing ceremony done in Paris. Expected in Riyadh on Tuesday. Santos, with a sell-on, also is going to be getting €6 million as a part of the deal. And this one was the big news of the morning. Arsenal have turned down a £25 million proposal, loan with an obligation to buy that would have been another 5 for Leandro Trossard from Al-Ittihad. Arsenal made it clear in the conversation that they had no plans on selling. So Al-Ittihad looked like they were prepared to do 25 plus 5 to bring in Leandro Trossard because their window has not closed. And Arsenal was like, thanks, but no thanks. Loan would have been $5 million. The buy obligation would have been €20 to €25 million. It was an informal bid, long-term deal. But now they were like, we're cool. Thanks for asking. Ivan Toney's already at Al-Ahly in training after arriving in Jeddah yesterday. And so that's the latest with outbounds. But Alex lets us know that there's math involved all over again, involving yet another. See, Chelsea seems to be the topic of conversation that we have. Chelsea's a lot of the conversation. According to Fabrizio Romano, Nicholas Jackson has just signed his new deal with Chelsea, valid until June of 2033. 9-year deal for Nico Jackson and Chelsea. Senegalese international agreed to a contract with the Blues as they're happy with his Premier League impact. According to Romano, deal signed today, negotiated by his agent, Ali Barat, who is the owner of Epic Sports. But remember that any kind of a deal, if I'm not mistaken, that you can only flatten it out over 5. You can't do what Chelsea was doing when they brought in Mudryk on an 8 initially. I think he was one of the last ones that got grandfathered in, do an 8-year deal with any kind of a licensing, with the transfer fee. They could break it up over the life of the deal since it's internal. Now Nico Jackson has been signed until June of 33. And once again, what is it we say in these situations? It is about controlling the asset. Morning, Unc. So you're controlling the asset at Chelsea. Fabrizio Romano reporting Nico Jackson signing his new deal to hang out there until 2033. Odds that he stays there until 2033, I ain't saying a whole lot. More Fabrizio Romano. Thiago Giallo to Porto, confirmed on a loan deal with Juventus. Loan deal, no obligation to buy at all, or obligation period. Salary shared 60-40 between the two clubs. Documents are being prepared this hour. And Galatasaray, we mentioned, agreed to cover the 9 to 10 million euro salary. Victor Osimhen until the end of the season. Once again, the loan deal's agreed. Napoli does not include a buy option or an obligation clause. The mission in Napoli is to get Osimhen's green light as a part of this. Ajax verbally agreed on a loan deal with a buy option for Southampton for Kamaldeen Sulemana, and the personal terms still in negotiation. That deal can happen. Once again, we mentioned Steven Bergwijn for a reason. Bergwijn goes to Saudi, then Sulemana can slide in to take the Bergwijn slot at Ajax. So Bergwijn out to Saudi Pro, Sulemana from Southampton to Ajax on the in. So keep an eye on that. Once again, a little further from Europe, the window in Saudi and Turkey still open for another couple days. Danilo Pereira to Al Ittihad, medical test complete, €5 million package agreed with PSG. Travel booked as the deals agreed between all parties. PSG only wanted a permanent move, and that has now been completed. So that is now in the barn as well when it comes to what is going on this morning. Basel agreed on a deal to sign Joe Mendes from Braga, joins on the loan with an option to buy. And Mendy, Ferland Mendy suffered an injury to his right tibia. Man, those tib-fib injuries are pains, and I mean this literally and figuratively. That's at least, a couple of weeks. When, full disclosure, and this is, back in the days of black and white television and movable type, Leeuwenhoek and I, we're like this. Had a fibula fracture, and it was 8 weeks in a cast. So Mendy's excluded from the French national team squad list. Luca Digne replaces him. Real Madrid now having to deal with both Mendy and Dani Ceballos with those injuries. Let's see. We mentioned Thiago Giallo, who has the photograph. Ansu Fati returns to training for Barca after the injury. Hansi Flick trusts him for present and for future. So once again, let's see. Christian Eriksen back to Ajax. The deal will not happen. Agent has told Tim Van Duyn that we can stop these speculations. So no return for Christian Eriksen. Marcos and Leonardo de Al-Hilal, we talked about that. We talked about Pereira and PSG. Midfielder for Chelsea, Cesare Casade, signed with new agents. After staying at Chelsea, Casade's future now managed by new representatives at Epic Sports. And let's see, Ceballos' ankle injury, he'll be out for the next 6 to 8 weeks, according to Real Madrid. So there, I think that catches us up on all of that stuff. So once again, recapping the crazy weekend, 2's review will be up later today. It will be intriguing to find out whether or not we can hear anything from Steve Cook as Madison Cruz caught up with him after the big win in Chattanooga, because there were fireworks going on inside Finley Stadium. And I think Ashton Gordon was the other interview that Maddie grabbed. Like I said, we'll check on the sound quality and see if the fireworks did anything to distract from the interviews themselves and make them unlistenable and overmodulated. So we'll check on that. Give you the highlights of a 7-goal craziness. It was bat-ish. One of the wildest environments, especially in the second half, that you could have. There'll be a lot of highlights. Game was on the network. You can listen at our Mixler site, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, and you can listen to the match pre, half, post. It's about 2 hours and 50 minutes. So, if you want to skip the pregame show, you can. So that's like 25 minutes. So 25 minutes into the recording, the match will start. Maddie and I give it to Jason. Jason carries us away. Maddie and I are back at the half. Jason goes second half. Jason was on the bark for a wild game. So it's up at our Mixler site, soccerdownhere.mixler.com. Next up for the 2's, once again, at NYCFC2, Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock. We'll keep an eye on that one for you as well, as Atlanta United 2 is chasing the 8th spot. They've got a lot of work to do with 5 matches to go, and the first stage of that is heading to Randall's Island for Friday. Once again, for MLS and Atlanta United, big win. Chaos still exists in the Eastern Conference, and we'll keep an eye on that. Once again, international window, so there's plenty of stuff to talk about. Tomorrow on the show at 9:30, Marty Jellamy, the head coach of the Atlanta United Unified team, will be dropping by. We'll catch up with him about the season. what the road trip to Los Angeles was like for the Unifieds going up against LA Galaxy. And what the Unified team likes to do is they like to take their young athletes and have them go into new environments. Last year, it was Dallas and it was New Jersey. Going to a bowling alley in Newark, New Jersey last year as a part of the experience there in New York and New Jersey, playing at Red Bull Arena, then going to Dallas and playing there. This year, once again, the new environment, going to Los Angeles and playing LA Galaxy's Unified team. So we'll catch up with Marty about that tomorrow and get you ready for everything else going on this week. Let's see, what am I missing? Tonight on the network, Oglethorpe and Emory are going at it at Emory. So keep an eye out, set your notifications to our social media channels. Maddie, Jason, and I will be at Emory for Oglethorpe and Emory. And it's a kickoff at 7 o'clock. I think we're going to be on at 6:30, kind of giving you a bit of a preview. We'll have some post-match stuff as well and get you ready for one of the big matchups here in Southeastern soccer, period. Oglethorpe and Emory dropping by. Pre-game from us on our social media is about 6:30, before the whistle at like 6:30, and then the match itself on the Emory website. Go to Emory's Emory Eagles athletic website. You can catch the match there, and we'll have post-match reaction as well, and we'll piece that together for you to post on the network as well. Once again, we will have, and remember, Tyler's on a boat this week, so no Tyler on Wednesday, but hoping to catch up with Dylan Butler at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, Marion Crowder at 10:30 to talk about USL Super League and the SEC and the SEC Women's. Yes, David, it is men. Yeah, it is the men going at it tonight with Oglethorpe and Emory. It is men's soccer tonight. And then Thursday, Nino and Nico in hour number 2 at 10 and 10:30. Emory and Oglethorpe. That is absolutely correct. It is Eagles and Stormy Petrels. And it is at Emory tonight. Kicks at 7. Like I said, I think we're going to do a before the whistle at like 6:30 on our social media. So keep an ear out for that. If you can't make it to Emory tonight for the big matchup with Oglethorpe and Emory, you can do before the whistle. You can watch on Emory's website, and then we'll have post-match reaction and post it. And then Friday is going to be the free-for-all. Obviously, we're getting ready for the U.S. and Canada and all the other things going on in the weekend. Atlanta United playing Friday afternoon, all of the stuff. Literally, all the stuff's going on. Just because it's an international window doesn't mean, for a triple negative, doesn't mean that things aren't going on. And we'll be rolling through it all here this week on SDH. Let's see, what to watch, where to watch it before we get out of here. And traditionally, Monday gives you Monday Night Football. So we'll see what it looks like with Monday Night Football today. And it is the U20 Women's World Cup also. Man, I forgot to ask Bart about that. U20 Women's World Cup at 9 o'clock tonight. Japan and New Zealand. MLS Next Pro on Apple TV and MLS Season Pass. It is out west, St. Louis City 2 and Austin FC 2, Los Verdos. That's at 7 o'clock from City Park. La Liga 2, Ibar and Levante is on the plus at 1 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus has all the activity with the U20 Women's World Cup. Korea and Argentina at 6, Costa Rica, the Netherlands at 9. In the Canadian Premier League, Halifax Wanderers and York United going at it at 3 o'clock. And as we mentioned, the lower divisions in England, Paramount Plus has League 2 at 3 o'clock. Salford City, that's the franchise that's owned by all the ex-Manchester United players. And the team that, as a member of the Don's Trusted AFC Wimbledon, it's a team that I don't recognize by name. So, yeah, the team that left town and decided to be 60 miles outside of the city of Wimbledon and have their own shiny new stadium, I hope Salford City wins like 720-0. But that's at 3 o'clock. English League 2, Salford City, and the team that decided that they wanted to leave the city of Wimbledon and create a legacy of their own, which created the legacy of AFC Wimbledon, of which I am a member of the Don's Trust. So, like I said, light day, but it's still a fun day across the board when it comes to all the activity going on. Great day to see Caleb Wiley get an assist before he was pulled off at 45 minutes. Draw your own conclusions. You had a 3-1 lead when Caleb was out there. You lose 4-3 when you pull him. Then the Twos win 4-3 and crazy, and Atlanta United wins at 1-0 as well on the board for the chase in the Eastern Conference in Major League Soccer. So, as always, great to catch up with all of you folks on SDH every single day of the week. And We'll do it again. Like I said, we'll do it again later today. Before the whistle, over at Emory for Oglethorpe visiting Emory. Then we'll be back at it. Two's review later this afternoon. And it will be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning to let you know what's going on in the world of soccer. We'll go back over what happened in Major League Soccer that we didn't get into this morning, set the table there, go over all the other divisions, and lay out all the news that's fit to print. So once again, thanks to all of you folks for dropping by. And as always, come back by 9:05 every morning, Monday through Friday, plus specials and things like that whenever we got stuff going on. Don't forget to download the Spreaker app. It's like speaker with an R in the middle. And then go to Soccer Down Here, set your notifications. So when we have live programming, you can listen to it on the app. You can go to soccerdownhere.net. Don't forget, go to soccerdownhere.net. You can get all your gear. If you want one of the new hats, public service announcement, you want one of the new hats, Jason has a couple. You can't have this one because it's mine, but Jason's got a couple, and I think they're 25. So you want one of the hats that Jason has before we have to go out and order a new batch. Right there. They're 25, and you can get them from Jason. So just reach out to Jason and let him know that you are interested. All right, that's another go-around here at SDH here on a Monday, Reaction Monday. Thanks to everybody who is reacting, as you were. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow talking Atlanta United, whatever's on your mind, talking about Major League Soccer, Marty Jelmy from the United team, the Unified team for Atlanta United, and a whole lot more. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks again for coming by on a Monday. Enjoy the rest of your Labor Day. If you are set to labor, may your labor be safe. If you are set not to labor, may you enjoy the day and everything that it brings for you. So once again, thanks for dropping by. Since it's the end of the show, that means that I get to do this. I get to whistle us to a close, and I'll see if I can find the background where I can whistle us to it. There we go, right here.